Hi and welcome. So for those who don't know, I'm Chris. I'm an artist from Bristol in the UK, and this channel is extemporary art, so that means unplanned. So unplanned intuitive art. I'm an ADHD artist, so I found out I was ADHD a few years ago, and I'm 34, and so I create abstract expression, very textured artworks. I've been painting since I was around 4 years old, maybe a little bit older, maybe 8 years old, can't remember. But did some cartoon courses with cartoon dinosaurs, and then I went to university much later, of course, when I was about 19 or 20, and did 3 years there where I did illustration after my 2 years foundation course, so 5 years in total. And so I've been painting for quite a while, and things are starting to slowly happen now. I've sold a few paintings, but it's definitely not a full-time gig just yet. And I've got the Upfest festival in May, 2 years after COVID. So there's a few things on the horizon, and on this channel I film the process of art. I talk about my feelings and connection to it and that mindset, and I also do a few vlogs, art-based. There's been a few non-art based vlogs which are now over on my vlog channel, which I'm still finding my feet with. And so there's been a few of you who have asked for some more focus on the artwork, and so this video is a little bit different in that it's real time, very quick study of about an 18-minute self-portrait. So without further ado, let's get into this because it's quite a long video, and for any of the other long content I may put on my Patreon, which I've just started and need some content on there. So let's get into it. This is an experiment just to see whether you'd want my longer paintings. This is one of my faster paintings in that it's a study and didn't take me too long. But if you would like to see my paintings that take around 2 to 6 hours to complete, then let me know. These will most likely be on my Patreon for those who are interested in that real-time paintings for a small fee, because they do take more time to film and to create the voiceover. But let me know if you would prefer to have it with music or some ASMR sounds. This may be easier to film, and yeah, just let me know. So I'm using these quick self-portraits as a way to talk about some subject matters that I had in mind anyway. Wonderful visuals of the painting taking shape, so a win-win hopefully. I've put off this video until I had a better mic set up, but you have to use what you have, and so I am currently filming myself with the Rode Video Micro on my GoPro, and I'll just take the audio from it within the edit. So being in the flow, within that flow state versus feeling obligated to create content because of the social media world we live in, or because you feel the need to create something because we're an artist and that's what we do. There is a book on flow, and I must get around to reading it, which I'll link below, which talks more about the scientific notion of being in the flow. So this video is very much coming from an opinion and experience rather than anything particularly factual or based in science-based facts. So flow to me can be this imagined, romanticised idea of creativity. the cafe, bookstore, people watching and creating these wonderful sketches, or writing notes down for videos, creating an epic B-roll while we're there, and being able to work away from the house. In reality, I never quite have this moment, even though I still go to cafes in hope of this. What I mean by flow is that moment where all I'm thinking about is the artwork. And for me, art isn't usually this logical, sit down, quiet, and paint. While it can look like this on the outside, often I have no thought, that machine mind, Easter might call it, this flow state. This is when I am connecting to my subject, either recreating what I see as observational drawing, but more as my interpretation, not a direct copy from that reference photo or life. Or I'm recreating a mood and emotion. Often I start with the eyes. And get the emotion right in the eyes, the rest follows. The mouth and expression helps too. But it's the eyes I find that make or break a portrait, even one that is as stylized and playful as mine. I never really use literal colours, or at least not very often. I find if I create something that is too photo-like, which I don't really have an interest in or skill to do anyway, I find it becomes a bit static and I want energy and life within my paintings. Although that is not always a rule of thumb, there are some amazing hyperrealism out there that does have that energy. So in this modern world, the internet has become a lot more known. More people are online than ever, myself included. And I never expected to have a YouTube channel or put myself out there in the form of videos. I came to love the editing and the storytelling and being able to create this visual language for myself and my artwork. So it all began when 2020 happened. Upfest, Art Trail, along with other shows in the works, all got cancelled. Online became what it should have been, a social place giving accessibility to more people, with cinemas and theatres who once said that it couldn't be done, now being online. A lot of the art community also grouped together, and it felt like a real support network. I was invited to an Instagram Live interview, and I was terrified, pacing back and forth in my living room before it began. After that experience, I enjoyed the expression of it, and once I found iMovie wasn't too difficult to get used to, I began to experiment. So this is now my 95th video, and I hope each is improving in quality and pacing with time, although there are still a few dud videos and I'm still feeling very much at the beginning of my journey with having never ventured into video before. Now we have social media, it can feel that pull and that obligation to post and create. It is another creative outlet, but time and energy are limited. So that is what I call obligation, where you either want to be creative but don't have time or energy, or you feel you ought to create because you haven't uploaded in a while. You're creating because you have to versus wanting to. And with the vlog channel, I have found it can become I should vlog to be consistent rather than having a cool moment to document anyway. With the art, there are times I wish to create and not have to think about angles. Sometimes I do film this, but it's not a great video, but it's something. Other times it's so nice to create without thinking about a video, although I still take a photo for Instagram, but it's not always my best work. So creativity can feel a bit like a freefall, and I'll talk more about where embracing the chaos came from and what that means to me in another video. Creativity is not always this thing that you can approach like other jobs. If it needs time to build, reflection time, refilling the creative well as the artist's way explains it. Times my art hasn't worked, through doing this often I have learnt to embrace the ugly layer, knowing it's all part of the process, working it out. But some of my studies haven't worked either, and it's all practice. Do I share those too? I feel like this one has worked, but you'll have to let me know. When I am in the flow, my hand and paintbrush and mind are all one. There's no real thought. Occasionally a challenge is there and does take some thinking, in the sense of how do I get around it. But I am not really thinking about any particular paint technique. It's all a toolkit to get the emotion across and to get the image that I hope to achieve. I find I am better able to connect to the world and to see the world in a new way, to find an angle I hadn't noticed before, the art of seeing. I'm very lucky to have found that studio. I sublet off a artist friend of mine, and we seem to manage it well with going in at different times. The rest of the studios off that corridor are also very friendly, and we have a WhatsApp group and have socials. So it's a very creative place, and there's a video I did last Vlogmas, which I'll link as well. So it's very creative with all the artwork along the corridors. And although there's a few less now that one of the artists has left for another chapter of their life after being there for 12 years, we are slowly filling up the corridors again, and we have plenty of artwork, and I just need to get them hung up and put that cord on. Being able to separate the art from my flat and my home, apart from the ones that are waiting to be sold, it just really helps to compartmentalise. This has also changed the way I paint and has brought in this thicker style and this thicker textures. While it is difficult to leave the house sometimes, or some days I wish I had the place to myself, I'm still very blessed to have a separate area to create rather than just my living space. What I wanted to touch on is this new way of sharing artwork. On the plus side, there is now a wonderful community online here on YouTube, TikTok and Instagram, and to some extent Facebook and Twitter, which I don't really venture into as much, where artists can show their work. On the flip side, it can feel like an obligation, like I said before, to stay consistent and to therefore stay relevant within that algorithm. So posting once a week on most, and even on TikTok, some people say 3 times a day. Most others just need themselves and a camera. However, us artists need to film many angles of ourselves and the setup, but also create the artwork. This just means that it can't always be rapidly produced quickly, and the filming slows the art down as well. So I love the end product and the video, but it does mean that the videos can become delayed and less often. So being in the flow is responding to life, the creative vision, and accepting balance, and that we won't always keep up with it all. Just making time. I like to have a full day or two. I don't like to have somewhere else I need to be later, because that's all I end up thinking about. Being in the flow and having to stop that train of thought, that creative path, is really quite difficult, even more so to then resume once you return to the canvas, trying to figure out what that moment of inspiration was. And not necessarily inspiration, but just that thought of where to take the artwork next. So instead, I like to book my creative time in and make sure I have a good amount of time with no interruptions, other than my own concentration perhaps going. So I hope you enjoyed the artwork. Thank you for listening to my random ramblings. It's been a bit of an experiment using this real-time format and figuring out some things to talk about. In the next video I may talk about my art journey and where I started and where I came from. So starting from a young age and where I am now. So I may look at the timeline and talk more about that. But if you liked looking at this painting take form and you would like to see a more, I was going to say precise, but this painting, while quick, has its own wonderful joy there too. But if you would like to see longer paintings or of this kind of format, then do comment below and let me know. In the meantime, there will be more time lapses, more edited down versions, which I like creating the visual language within the video. So I do enjoy finding ways to show the artwork, but I've had a few comments where they want to see more of the artwork for longer periods, so this was a good way of doing it, showing the whole process in the one angle. If you like this video, then the thumbs up helps YouTube know that this video is doing well. Share it with your friends, all that sort of stuff. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Of course, like I said, these videos take a bit longer with the creation of the artwork, but then also breaking down the video as well. So thank you for being here. I look forward to seeing you in the next video, and yeah, there's more ideas on the way. So thank you, and I shall see you soon.